give our COVID update. I was just trying to think about how I could put it, and I can't put it any other way than COVID in Hawaii is a big, hot mess, is what it is. On the inset there, you'll see Scott and I, we made the prediction 2 weeks ago. We said, hey, you know what? We think this place is going to be closed until October 1st. And sure enough, a few days ago, there was an announcement. We are indeed closed until October 1st. Oahu has really gone, there's been a huge, relatively speaking, huge spikes in Oahu cases. And so now they've outlawed any kind of social gathering whatsoever. Not even a quantity. You can't get together with your friends you can't get together with friends and family, period. And in terms of public places like restaurants and gatherings, or those kinds of gatherings, it's like a group of five. You can't go by more than a group of five. It's a mess. On the government side, the government side is kind of all messed up. There's infighting at the state. Tulsi Gabbard, the congresswoman, that from District 2, she brought out there has been whistleblowers about incompetence and about, contract tracing has been a mess. There's been senators, state senators have been going into the Department of Health offices to kind of check and see how everyone's going, and the governor's getting all mad about it because everyone's pissed off that the administration's not doing contract. It's a big hot mess. It's a big hot mess. I'm going to open this up for discussion, but so here's my prediction. My prediction, the way I'm seeing this, is this state's going to be closed until there's a vaccine or economic reality hits us over the head. In other words, where we're going to have to open it because the state's going to essentially be going some degree of bankruptcy because they need tax revenue. But it's going to be closed for a long time. There's also this other thing, travel bubbles. This is a brand new story. It just came out yesterday, resort travel bubbles. There's proposals floating around, and this is by no means anywhere near final. It's just a proposal that's getting floated around that they may allow resorts to create these sort of travel bubbles where there's not a lot of details here, but it's something along the order of you'd go to a resort, you check in at the resort, and you would stay quarantined within that resort. So unlike Heidi, who's stuck in her house, you'd be kind of, stuck at least at the resort. Presumably that means you could go to the pool, you can go to the restaurant, you can kind of move around that little community, travel bubbles. So anyway, all right. So let's kind of go around, and there's actually one of the let's kind of get into a discussion. I want to hear what you guys think about this. So like Heidi, here's a classic one that's related here. Cancel my trip to Maui. So this is from Ron, and Ron says, I have a vacation planned on Maui for October 5th. I have until September 5th to cancel my condo for a full refund. Do you think visitors will be allowed on the islands by October 5th? My wife and I had to cancel our planned trip in April of this year, really hoping we don't have to cancel this one as well. I understand this will be a difficult question to answer, but you seem to have the ability to get information from your sources. We have fallen in love with the Hawaiian Islands. This will be our 5th year in a row to visit the islands. We would just move to the islands if we could, but 11 grandkids keep us from moving at this time. Any information you could provide would be greatly appreciated. Mahalo, Ron and Jamie. So thanks about that. Heidi, this has got the Maui background. You're the one who's quarantining. What do you say to Ron and Jamie if they should come out here for their October 5th trip? What do you say?
Well, my heart goes out to you and really to everybody that has been trying to travel this year and make it out to Maui. As we know, currently the 14-day quarantine requirement is in effect through October 1st. But honestly, I would not be surprised if it gets extended again. And when it is lifted, there's the pre-COVID testing protocol that's going to be in place. So vacation rental owners and managers have had to be very, very flexible this year with all these changes. So I would work with them to see what their terms would be should the state extend the quarantine again, because I think at this point, the safest thing to say is we honestly don't know. But anyway, my heart goes out to you. I hope you make it on your trip soon. And yeah, being quarantined myself, I know it's not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah. And thank you, Heidi, for those heartfelt words. It's nice to hear that. So Dylan, what's your take here on my big hot mess, my big hot mess proclamation, and my prediction that we're going to stay closed until we have either a vaccine or we get hit over the head with economic reality?
Well, it looks like the economic reality is already setting in. There was a story this past week about the governor saying that they're going to have to do furloughs across the board for all state and county workers. And that's kind of a no-brainer with the complete elimination of TAT almost, which is the transient accommodations tax. And then the general excise taxes, where the vast majority of state budget comes from, greatly being impacted by people just not being out there spending money in the economy. And that a lot of that revenue comes from tourists. There's no way the state's going to be able to sustain the type of expenses that it has going forward. And you already have a lot of the union leaders and other folks coming out and saying this is outrageous. But the reality is, I mean, anybody who understands finance knows that you can't continue to spend money at the rate you were spending money when you've completely cut off the revenue stream that provides for that money to be spent. So it's going to be, that may change the political dynamics when teachers and firefighters and policemen and state workers, the people that clean our parks, all have to take a 10+% pay cut here coming up soon.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting to kind of see what's going to happen. Hopefully, those travel bubbles might give us something. But again, even those travel bubbles that they've mentioned, in sort of again in passing, things are too unpredictable. Like Heidi says, we really don't know. I can guarantee you this: if the cases continue to stay at the current level that they're at, things are going to be close. Scott, what's your take on this?
There's a couple of things. I mean, there was in the article the other day. It said if we get to 3,000 active cases, then that's an indication to shut down the state. Where? And they're trying to shut down the state. So if it stays where it is and it gets worse, the next measure is going to be to go back to stay at home. The other thing Dylan hit on it. I talked to someone not too long ago who's on unemployment, who's getting the unemployment benefit from state, and then they were getting $600 a week from the federal government. And they're like, hey, I don't really have incentive to go back to work now. Yeah, well, once you start doing all these furloughs and things, now people will start to feel pain on the economics, and that's when you're going to see some of those mindsets. But if people are sitting there with enough money to get by on unemployment and the federal payment, then what incentive do they have to open the state at that point? And I think we're getting to this tipping point. The travel bubble thing, resorts, makes no sense to me. You come here and how are you not going to be exposed to other people? Not to mention who's going to wear. How are those people not going to at least be exposed? So I don't get. Just do the test. Get rid of the quarantine altogether. Do the testing before you come. If you're negative, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that's all going to go, because even the testing is there was that whole plan about you get pre-tested, and if you're tested within 72 hours of travel, you can kind of come. That was one of the things that was an earlier plan that was floated, but as it turns out, they were not able to get that done because the testing is backlogged and you can't go to CBS. Scott, we have a little bit of a technical difficulty. Your sound is breaking up as well, so I'm going to have to as we go down the rest of the show, if there's a breakup, I'll have to let you know, because it's not intelligible to the people who are trying to listen to you. I'm trying to do the best I can, so just hopefully we can get those. Hopefully your Wi-Fi will come back, because your background is beautiful today. You've got the right lighting and all looking good. You're looking dapper. You got a nice shirt on, but the internet gods